We wish him... We wish Chris Vanderdrift well for today's racing. So, joined now by Cameron Jones once again as we get set for some more Tradezone GTRNZ action. Scheduled for 4 laps, race 3 of the weekend, but this is for classes 3 and 4, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, Greg. These are the third and fourth for the time gaps that we have. These boys had a bit of a big accident this morning, Greg, so what they've decided to do now, because the grid is so large, is to go back to a conventional grid race start rather than the traditional handicap race they do it. They've deemed it a bit safer, keep the cars looking good out there, mate, and hopefully everybody can go home and put them on the trailer.
We did talk about it in the classes 1 and 2 race, but thankfully the driver is okay too.
Yeah, he's got a bit of surgery coming his way. I think his arm's broken pretty badly, but he's conscious and he knows what's going on and stuff, so... Obviously, the safety devices we run these days of Hans's and the seats and stuff done their job, and good to see that all those cars are up to standard and he got protected and he can pretty much walk away from the scene. Good
news. And we're set to go racing once again with this class, brought to you by Tradezone. GTRNZ is this wonderful array. There's a little bit of a Jimmy Richards come Mark Scaife style Commodore from the early days of what would have been supercars, or at least an attempt at that.
A classic replica. I don't know if it's a supercar, it might be more of just a car that somebody's built.
With some fond memories of a great era for the sport. This is basically a run what you brung style scenario. All sorts of loving work has been engineered into these machines. It might be someone's pride and joy, someone who loves a Capri, but is it a Capri truly? What lies beneath?
Believe it or not, that's got a 6-speed sequential gearbox there, and Mr. Hamilton, he's a ripe old age, over 65 or so, I think. So it's not just for the young people, this class. A few of the old boys are still hanging around, living their life dreams.
And look at the polar opposite in front of it. Ford Mondeo, Dale ITM backed car, something totally different.
Totally different. Front-wheel drive under the Capri, still running the original disc brake on the back too, I see the other day.
Amazing.
And they're so committed to the class, they drove back to Hamilton, Taupo, to get a caliper for it last night and come back, him and his wife.
Love it.
So they could race today.
That's a good 3 or so hours in one direction, I suppose, isn't it?
Definitely.
So, yeah.
And at that age, I'd just, this is beer time.
Lots of passion, and it's been terrific to have this class of racing as a part of the Super Sprint Motorsport New Zealand Championship. Huge offering here at Hampton Downs as we gear up for the New Zealand Grand Prix a little later this afternoon. We've had GTs, we've had Formula First, Formula Ford, and now these competitors. And it is a stretch for our cameraman because you literally have had a huge roll-up of cars here, haven't you?
Yeah, I think there's 46 sitting on the grid there at the moment, so huge turnout for this weekend. And the weather today too, mate, fantastic after how rough it's been for Auckland up here. To finally see some sunshine and the boys racing in the dry.
Cool stuff. And as you rightly said, our drama's here for... So... nice work by our volunteers. Probably a little moment where we should pause and appreciate that, because we're running a little bit behind schedule. We're endeavouring to catch up on that, and these good people, these passionate people in the high vis make sure we do that, and they do it because they purely love the game.
Definitely, and we see all these guys all the time at the track, and the same people turn up week in, weekend out to help us make the meeting safe and make the meeting go smoothly. So we appreciate all the people that turn up here to make our events happen.
Yep, well done to everybody here at Hampton Downs, to Motorsport New Zealand, the club there, and lots of car clubs in and around the area, so to speak, that contribute. And it is kind of the best seat in the house for those volunteers, but they do work immensely hard. And some of them were here from in the dark this morning. Here we go, Mazda RX-7. That's a kind of a bit of almost a throwback to the Group C era days, isn't it? Really cool car.
Very Group C Moffat style stuff. And the young fella in there, Andy Duffin, that's in GT1 in the Black Betty, that's actually his son. So he's just getting into motorsport at the moment.
Fantastic.
A little bit nervous because it's his first outing on the international track, but having a ball.
Greg Rust and Cameron Jones with you for the coverage.
Ready, 30 seconds.
Getting ready for a race start here. Going back to a traditional formula rather than a staggered start, or as we get that unfortunate stricken Honda tucked away safely out the back. We're good to go. Massive field of cars unleashed. Someone struggled off the line in the background there. I think a BMW lots of them taking evasive action, and amazingly, no contact.
Excellent job for the guys. They may have stalled it, I think, Greg, and got it on the starter, got it going again, and just managed to get out of the way before the back guys come through.
Great work, Jamie Potts in the 96. This thing is V8 powered, and you realise with the kind of short wheelbase nature of this overgrown blue car, just how much grunt it's got, because it pitches under brakes and then it rises almost. The bonnet almost looks at the sky with all that grunt, doesn't it?
Definitely, and Jamie's actually built the whole car himself. So he's made the chassis, the roll cage, all the bits and pieces there completely made in his workshop in Palmerston North. So there's no factory bits there. The suspension arms and everything can be made by him. Really cool.
People will be looking, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday in the coverage, at some shorter wheelbase looking machines. They're kind of a little bit like an Aussie racing car in some respects, but they're not.
No, they're not. Actually, the star cars were around here early on in the piece before Aussie started doing them. And believe it or not, we were actually doing the test driving for them.
Oh,
so
wow.
Great little machines and stuff, a few teething problems in the field of cars started racing, and they just didn't have enough. So what they did is they joined in with GTRNZ because anything goes, and now they've got somewhere to race and come and play on the weekends.
Nice, and there's a few of them in the field too, which is great. We saw a Datsun or it's a Datsun Stanza, I think, and it's basically that car coming through there now. It's a proper rally car too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. He's having his first burn with us. He was looking forward to some rain today, actually. He says more of a tip it in, backwards, sideways, sort of a rally man, and to come circuit racing's a little bit different for him, but hey, he's having fun out there. He's actually dragging off some of the cars in his class too, so obviously a reasonably good driver, and turned up here with some slicks on and having some fun. 37 is Sam Harvey in the Altezza, and four-cylinder, turbo, V8, you name it. It's more or less all represented here, isn't it? Yeah, you can pretty much just roll down to the wreckers and wander up the queues and say, hey, how much power's that? That should be enough. Pull that out, I'll come and get it on Tuesday.
And there is a bit of a who's got the biggest ironing board on the back competition almost, isn't there? There's some quite cool-looking wings.
Yeah, there's a lot of homemade stuff goes on in this class, which is really, really cool. New Zealand's known for Kiwis to build stuff over here, and it still carries on as we see a few cars getting wide up the back there.
I think someone's had a lose coming out of the first corner, managed to gather it, keep it going, and everyone sort of went left and right. There you go.
It's the star car, round and round off the end of the straight. Very lucky to come across in front of everybody and not hit anybody.
Amazing. Pointing back in the right direction.
Chop it down some gears and away he goes.
Away you go, and everyone avoided it. Great work. So we continue in this. It's a sprint. Looks like one of the RX-8s slowing in the background there. You can see it just off to the edge of the circuit.
So these boys will be all in their proper positions, so probably different to what we saw earlier on of GT1 and 2 as we see a replay here. Oh, very wide, Greg. Very, very wide at turn 1.
But short wheelbase, watch this. Flick, and grab a gear, and off you go again.
Nathan in the Waka Commodore will be going, man, all weekend he's had close calls.
Get your heart rate up. Here's that little rally car. It's beautifully turned out. That machine's some dramas for the 777. That looks like an engine issue of some kind.
Yeah, Shane Whitley, he's a championship contender too, so he might just need to back the pace down there a little bit and make sure that thing survives.
Short sprint, what are we, nearly half distance, so, and off goes one of the BMs. Now, will that draw the attention of race control, or will they allow us to keep going here?
Hopefully he can back out, and being road car style, he's quite high off the ground, so it doesn't normally get bellied, a lot of these cars, so some of them can just drive through and carry on. Mighty
Dodge Viper, haven't seen one of those for a while too, and they were quite a cool thing in the 2000s as far as sort of GT production style racing is concerned.
Definitely, we had a few of them run with us over the years. There's probably 4 or 5 of them in New Zealand here, believe it or not. So as you can see here, there's a little Toyota Starlet, I think it is, and a Dodge Viper racing each other.
Amazing.
How grouse is that?
Amazing. You would never in a million years expect to see that in most forms of motor racing. Look at it. Polar opposites.
Close, like, he's got a little bit on, got on the grass on the entry to the corner and lost it. Oh no, mate, just, yeah, wait.
Good presence of mind by those following. That just pure tyre smoke from unleashing the Dodgers that rejoined the circuit. Yeah, you're right. I think that right front stepped off.
And if somebody else is off, I wonder if the Falcon's dropping oil, Greg. There's a lot of people spinning and going into the gravel trap at the moment.
Good pickup. Well done. So, meantime, back up in front. So Brian Gray in the 10 is actually in 6th place in that RX-7 at the moment. Race is being led by Jamie Potts. Let's have a little look at this here.
Yeah, he's got on the grass on the entry to the corner. I think he's lining up the inside move already. Not too sure. Is that a left-hand drive one? Be possibly Greg, and he's. I think it is left-hand drive.
It is.
Yeah, he's just stuck the wheels on the grass, eh?
Easy to do when your perspective is in a different sort of position to what you would be Monday to Friday. So
yeah, driving on the other side, a bit different on Sunday for him, obviously.
Exactly. Cool.
So Jamie Potts has blasted away here. Can Anderson mow him down? We've seen good pace from Anderson as the race distance goes on. Jamie Potts has pulled a reasonable gap.
So not long left to
he's
go.
got a problem.
And that's for the race lead. So Jamie's got an issue.
Race radio, last lap board has been displayed, last lap board has been displayed.
The last lap's out. He doesn't think it's over, does he? Or has he broken down?
It does look like it's got a struggle of some kind. He's pulling off. So what a shame on the final lap for Jamie.
Good
and
awareness
it's game
there.
over.
Good awareness there to park out of the way too, so the class can carry on racing. So good on Jamie for pulling in there to make it so that these boys can race to the checker flag.
Nice work.
Oh, the Viper's wide again.
Just when you have a moment like that, it does rattle you, doesn't it? You've got to kind of calm everything down, get back into a rhythm. So Nathan Anderson should be leading, I think, from Bailey Walker, and then maybe Brian Gray up into third on that basis in the RX-7. So we'll confirm that for you. So there's the 70.
Anderson wouldn't be able to believe his luck. He's probably sitting there thinking, one lap to go. How am I going to get him?
Car looked sharp, though. It looked really stable on the road around Hampton Downs. And yes, there was some sort of drama, but you know what racing's like, mate. You've been there. You have to be there to kind of pick things up when it happens on days like this, doesn't
Definitely, and we're going to see possibly a V8 touring car win and a Toyota Starlet second.
Crazy. Nathan Anderson from Bailey Walker. There's Brian Gray in the background. He's got his hands full. I think that's Sean Brown perhaps chasing him, so he's busy. Anderson headed for the line.
Fantastic. Well-presented car.
Great drive. Dramas for Jamie Potts. He's there to do the job and can comfortably cruise to the win in GTRNZ. Flicks the lights. Categories 3 and 4, or classes 3 and 4, and a little starlet. Would you believe it? Bailey Walker home second. And there's Brian Gray getting home for third in the RX-7. Nice work.
Beautiful. Good racing by the boys too. Nice and clean this time. A little bit slippery there, Greg. We've seen a lot of cars off in that race, so maybe a little bit held down.
You've question marked something that I think the team here will have a bit of a look at post-race. Is there maybe a little bit of oil down from that Falcon, which has made it to the line by the looks of it?
Yes,
so
indeed.
Well done.
They'll be loving the shorter race, mate, if it's smoking. 4 laps instead of 6.
Please
make
fingers crossed. There's the Jimmy Richards-esque, Mark Scaife-esque Commodore getting over the line. That's a nice job they've done there in that.
Yeah, beautiful car. Very good. Almost looks like the real McCoy.
Doesn't it?
It does.
Back we go and have a look at the results for you. Super Sprint Motorsport New Zealand Championship. This is race 3 for GTRNZ. There's so many of them here this weekend. We've split them into 2, so this is classes 3 and 4. Well done to Nathan Anderson, who takes it out from Bailey Walker in that little starlet. Brian Gray in a cool RX-7 home third. We've got everything basically represented there, from Aussie muscle to little pocket rocket Toyotas and all sorts.
Yeah, great stuff for these guys, mate. Cool what these Kiwi guys build and want to take to the track and race and put on a show for the crowd. Kind of nice sometimes here to see a variety of cars. We see a lot of one-make series, so these guys, awesome show.
Highlights for you of the final one of the weekend. Nice start by Jamie Potts, who led the field away, and it was a huge field of cars as well.
That
Anderson,
may be the move for Anderson there, I think, Greg. He put the move on early on in the race, which might have brought him the race win.
This one, it wins the Pirouette Award because it ultimately ended up pointing in the right direction. The left-hand drive Dodge Viper maybe just awkwardly placing that right front wheel, and around it went. This was the move for the race lead. Dramas for Potts on the final lap. In the end, Anderson would take it out.
And great for the little man in the starlet there to get second. He'll be ecstatic, mate. Just a young boy from Palmerston North. Dad will be very proud of him.
All righty, stick with us because there's a whole lot more coming. Winner in the last race.